Alex, how does AI and technology make travel more sustainable?
That's a great question. So, if I look at FLYR side of the equation, we help airlines better forecast demand, which in turn allows them to determine what aircraft should I put on a route. So, instead of putting too big of an aircraft on a route that is not fully populated in terms of demand, they can downgauge to a smaller aircraft and save fuel, or vice versa. Instead of flying two planes, they can fly one larger plane. So, we help them forecast demand and optimize that capacity planning. Outside of our realm, airlines are very much shifting to a sustainable aviation fuel. I think the biggest challenge in that realm right now is manufacturing and the price of sustainable aviation fuel. But there too, AI is trying to help determine what is the mix of normal fuel and SAF, sustainable aviation fuel, I should combine on different routes to still make a profit while reducing my effective carbon footprint.
There are, reports that say that 2024 travel will surpass pre-pandemic levels. Is out there seeing out there, and what's the sentiment among people?
Absolutely. I definitely think that some of the post COVID revenge travel has kind of subsided, but overall demand for travel is higher than it's ever been. I think the world is more connected than it's ever been. There is definitely a higher percentage of leisure travelers in the market now than there is business travelers. So, for example, business class cabins are more leisure than they were before in terms of percentage of occupation. So, we're seeing a shift in who is traveling and why. But overall, we're continuing to see growth. Overall travel and passenger volume on airlines will increase by about 50%, 50, in the next 6 to 7 years globally.
I don't see how that's possible because flights are already full. It's crazy.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing that in up and coming markets. So Latin America, Asia, Africa, those are growth markets where a lot of the population that wasn't traveling by airplane before is now starting to commute or travel by airplane. So there's a lot of growth coming from there. But even the North American market is growing quite materially.
When it comes to technology in the travel industry, you mentioned some regions. What are regions that have been quick to embrace AI technology, and what are some regions that are still hesitant, have some concerns, slow to go?
Yeah, so the regions where competition and growth of travel demand are the most rapid tend to be the ones that innovate more, especially in Asia, Africa, Latin America, and parts of the Middle East. You have a very large, young, natively digital population. They're, they were born on their phone, they do everything on their phone. Countries like Saudi Arabia, right? It's got the youngest population in the Middle East. Everybody has an iPhone. That tends to be the region or the regions where innovation is kind of front and center, where AI for trip planning, for forecasting, is becoming much quicker in terms of adoption than, say, North America or Europe, where you have larger or legacy players that move slower on innovation.
In some of those areas that have rainforests and beaches, um, do you see a rise in sustainable tourism or tourism that has like an eco focus, for example?
Yeah, you're definitely starting to see it. I will say that there seems to be a bit of a gap between what people say they want and what they're willing to pay for. Because the reality of the airline industry is that the consumer, the traveler, will happily spend a small fortune on their hotel or their eco lodge that they're not willing to spend on the flight to get there. So the airlines are running in a world where they have very low margin because the traveler doesn't want to pay them a premium. So I think that the challenge is the travelers want to be eco conscious, but they're not willing to pay the guys that are actually having the biggest impact on carbon footprint to get to those destinations. So less than 3% of travelers actually checks the box to offset their carbon footprint, to give you a sense of how many people actually are willing to pay up for saving on their carbon footprint. So that's a bit of a conflict that exists between the travelers and the travel suppliers. But airlines are trying to do their job. They're trying to use more sustainable aviation fuel. They're trying to use more efficient, modern planes. But at the end of the day, the question is really one for the traveler. Is the traveler willing to spend a few extra dollars to offset their carbon footprint? If the answer is no, the airlines do not have enough margin to actually pay for the traveler to offset that footprint. So that's a bit of a challenge.
What's the one thing that you would tell companies or just regular people when it comes to new technology and AI? Would you say don't be afraid, embrace it? Because there's so many negative connotations that you hear out there.
I mean, I would say definitely embrace it. Like companies that do not implement or start leveraging AI to be better at what they do will fall behind. But be practical, right? Use it in places where your consumer actually is helped, the customer is helped by the way you apply AI. Um, do it in ways that actually help you improve your revenue or reduce your cost or help you gain the capability travelers and customers want. I think there's a lot of hype around AI. I think there's a lot of misuse of AI. Just be practical. Like be practical in how and where you deploy it, and do it for the purpose of your customer.
Alex, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Elaine.